Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And Geeky is here to regale us with the tale of the Thunderbolts, which she went to go see with her son.
I did.
I didn't go see it. I don't care. I just don't care. But she's going to tell us about this movie.
I'm gonna tell you about it. Now, don't worry, I will not give spoilers at the beginning. We'll just talk overall thoughts that aren't spoiler territory. But I will be telling you the entire tale in the spoilers section. So if you are going to go see it or want to see it, we will give you ample notice to turn it off so you don't get spoiled.
Okay, nobody wants to be well, I don't care. I don't care one way or the other. I'm gonna be honest. I'm so checked out for Marvel. I don't really care. But I'm sure if you're watching this video, you do. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
You want more news? Go out to news.clownfishtv.com. Thank you very much for that. So yeah, I guess I would start with. Well, let's tell you what. Let's talk numbers first, then we'll talk spoiler free, then we'll talk.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Okay, so it did 11.5 million in previews.
Okay,
and I'm not sure.
I can tell you. They said they're still expecting it to make 75 million. I can tell you that there was about, I don't know, 2, 4, 6, 7 or 8 people in the theater when we went, but we went like at 1:30, which is an off time.
Yeah.
I do know today at the 7 o'clock show and the 4 and the 4:30 o'clock shows had people booked in there too. And I know the 7 o'clock had a lot of seats sold. And I know I looked ahead into the weekend, and Saturday had some seats sold in the afternoon, but not in the earlier hours, like towards the evening more. So, and again, a lot of the seats were not sold yesterday when I checked, but then people just showed up and bought seats at the theater. So that doesn't necessarily mean people won't come.
Right.
And when we did Minecraft, there was only a few of us in the theater, and then we all know how that went. So it can go either way at this point. They're still saying 75 million.
Yeah, so this is a little bit less than Captain America 4. Again, this is a movie full of leftover Disney Plus characters. So, people might not be rushing to go see it, but beyond that, like Captain America, it actually had a good opening weekend, and then what killed it was the word of mouth. It was just like, it's okay, it's not great, it's not worth going to a theater for. If this one is better than Captain America, which you guys both,
I didn't see Captain America. I did see this one, and it isn't bad.
Okay, so isn't bad. That's pretty much the bar that Marvel has set for itself. They went from being must see to this one's not terrible. It's not the worst.
It was fun. I actually didn't think it was bad. Both Squeaky and I thought it was entertaining. And when I watch it again, that's usually my barometer for this, and I would. And it's funny because we were on the way back home, and Squeaky was talking about the Marvels, and I said I'll probably have to watch it someday, and he goes, I would never watch it again.
No.
He said, but it wasn't. But her acting was better in this one than the first Captain America. But he wouldn't watch it again. But this one, movie, or Captain Marvel, yes. This one,
whatever. Captain this, Captain that.
Danvers. There's so many characters in my head right now.
Damn you, Danvers. Oh,
Danvers. Brie Larson was better in the second movie than she was in the first one. And he said, even that being said, he doesn't know if he'd watch it again, but I think he'd watch this one again.
He said the Marvels was actually better than the first one. But again, it's
he did say that.
So this is the thing. And the Marvels was a huge flop, right? Once the goodwill is spent, I mean, this is what's going to be frustrating, especially if you're working at Disney, right? If you're trying to turn the Marvel Titanic around, you're trying to turn Star Wars around, you're going to have to work 3 times as hard to win back all the goodwill. And Disney has squandered all of the goodwill toward Marvel and Star Wars and Indiana Jones and all these things they bought. And I'm like, even if the movies are good, even if the movies are good, it doesn't mean anybody's going to go see them.
Well, that's what we were talking about on the way home. I'll talk about that later, because I don't want people to be sitting here like for 5 minutes while you're talking about this stuff, which they want to know about the movie.
Okay. Well, let's get into non-spoiler just to let people know where it's at currently on Rotten Tomatoes, if you actually care about it. Certified fresh, 89%, but the popcorn-o-meter is at 95%. That means 95% of audiences liked it.
It wasn't bad. I'm not going to tell you it was, people want to hear like, oh, it was a terrible movie. It was wokety, whatever. It wasn't. It was actually a pretty fun movie. They are not Avengers, so don't. That comes up later. They are not Avengers, so don't expect like the Avengers. But I'm trying to think what to compare it to. They're kind of like Guardians of the
Suicide
Galaxy, where
Squad.
Suicide Squad's probably the best
Yeah.
example I can think of. Squid King said that too. It's obviously it was their like Marvel's version of Suicide Squad. They're kind of funny, but there's some seriousness to it. It's it's gonna sound worse when I try to explain it. It's kind of interesting because it's kind of like they have some funny overtones, but the core of the story is facing your own demons and like mental health and like feeling like you're not
What?
fulfilled.
Wait,
I
what?
know it sounds dumb. It really sounds dumb. And we kept joking in the car, like, there's no way to explain this to somebody where if they didn't see it, it's gonna sound good. But it is good. So I can't, without spoiling it later, there's really no way to talk about it. But it has a lot of like just talking about people, like, where do you belong, and being alone. Is it better to be do bad things and feel bad about it, or maybe you want to do some good things to not feel so bad about it. And the mental health thing, I can't explain it any better than that without
The
spoiling
mental
things.
health thing.
It's the crux of the story. It's at the core of the story. And I can't talk about it any more than that without like spoiling
Okay,
it.
well we'll get into the spoilers later, but yeah, so I gotta tell you, just on a surface level, I had zero interest in seeing this movie because I just looked at it as like it's just a bunch of leftover characters from Disney Plus shows, right?
That's the one drawback, I think, and I think that's why people aren't going, is because people think they're like the D team,
Yeah.
and beyond that, if you didn't watch, they're gonna feel like if you didn't watch those shows, you're not gonna know who these characters are. You're not gonna understand. And yeah, I mean, for me, I watched the show, so I can't really speak to that. But I can see where a couple of them, if you didn't watch, you would be like, who are the heck are these people? But I don't think it takes away necessarily. They do explain who they are a little bit as it goes, but I think they do rely on people knowing somewhat who they are. That
Are they
makes
better?
sense.
Are they better than the Mystery Men?
Oh, you would be hard pressed to be better than the Mystery Men.
Okay, because
Good
that's
luck with that.
that's kind of the vibe I got from this. Well, actually, I got that more from the Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
the
it is very
Men
Mystery
thing, but
Men esque. It's like a bunch of people who are who are not team players having to work as a team and
Okay.
have to overcome their so they usually do villainous type stuff. They have to overcome their desire to self preserve, to work together, kind of thing, and they're forced to work together. And it's like it's like Suicide Squad. You're forced to work together, and either you work together and you make it work and you succeed, or you don't work together and you're all screwed. It's like that.
Do we see Florence Pugh's tits? Does she just
No,
like,
no,
flash
no.
them
There's no
halfway
tits in
through?
this one. Why would you?
Okay.
I get it because of what was the movie
Oppenheimer.
called? Oppenheimer. But no.
Oppenheimer. Yeah,
Go
Oppenheimer.
see Oppenheimer. For
I didn't
that.
know that was coming. I gotta tell you, because I'm like, and I talked about this in a video yesterday, talking about the box office for Thunderbolts. I was like, gosh, it was so weird. Like Oppenheimer, we went to go see it, and it's like, science, 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 and then haha, tits, and then
I mean,
they
the
went back
closest
to
we got-
science, science, science.
That was just to break up the monotony. The closest we got to tits in this one was maybe some of the guys that were wearing shirts that were too tight.
David Harbour, does he have tits? Does he
No,
have
I'm not
boobs?
talking about the movie. I'm talking about the audience.
Oh, the audience, tits out for David Harbour.
They were like, wearing.
Bucky.
They were
Everybody puts their
probably,
tits out
They
for
should have been
Bucky.
wearing bigger clothes than they were. A couple of them, and But yeah, Bucky was in it. I was tits out for Bucky.
You better not have been tits out for Bucky.
Tits out for Bucky.
I took my son to go see this
Sebastian Stan's
movie
kind of a
without
butt,
my
though.
husband, and I was tits out for Bucky
No,
at
I
the
wasn't.
matinee.
But I do like Bucky. But it would
So
be much
do
more
I.
interesting. I mean, but no, you like Henry Cavill.
I do. As
As
a
do I.
platonic friend, he would be my friend who would paint little tiny men with me.
Anyway, back to the movie. So,
Anyway.
yeah, so the audience score is pretty good. I don't know how this is going to play out over the weekend. I definitely think it was. I wouldn't go 95, but I would probably give it. I don't know, 85.
85. So it's okay. Well, that's
I'd
significantly
watch it
better
again.
than.
I'd watch it more than once. I'd probably watch it 2
Wow.
or 3 times. It was fun, and I'm sure you'd find something new each time. And there were some really some things in it, some people that would really appreciate, but I can't talk about because of spoiler territory. And there's just, I don't know how to make it, how to get it across without spoiling it. So
Tits out for Thunderbolts, then that's you give it 2 tits out.
there you
for
go.
Thunderbolts.
Tits, just for Bucky. But anyway,
Just
like there's no way I could talk about it without spoiling it.
Okay, so
at this
tell
point
you
in
what.
time,
Okay,
I
so
would recommend to go see it. Okay, if you ask
85.
me, when I tell someone to go see it, yes. So if you're on the fence and you understand that it's more like Suicide Squad, it has some humor to it, and it's like a ragtag team instead of like a well-oiled machine like the Avengers, then you probably will like this. It's more
Tits out for Bucky,
it's
well-oiled machine.
it's more like Guardians as far as the dynamic than it is, like Avengers. So there's that.
Okay, so that kind of, I'm getting Suicide Squad. Now, the thing is, I love the Suicide Squad, but nobody went to go see it. And that's what I want to talk about too. When you talk about your spoilers, nobody went to go see the James Gunn Suicide Squad movie because the first one, a lot of people didn't like it. So the damage, and that's what I'm saying. Like, even if this one's really good, I'm like, how many?
Well,
people are
that's
gonna
what
go see it?
I'm thinking, and I think people think there's a barrier to entry, so they're not going to come anyway. But anyway, so we're gonna pause it now. If you want spoilers, continue. If you don't want spoilers, go watch the movie first, then come back and watch the rest of the video because I don't want to ruin anything. But I really can't talk about a lot what's going on until I can tell you the spoilers. So now is your time. I'm gonna count down from 5. If you're still here, then it's on you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers.
Tits out.
Tits out. No spoilers. So,
Okay.
okay, I'm going to tell you the story. I'm going to tell you the Thunderbolts story.
All right.
So that's why I said if you don't want spoilers, you don't want to listen to this because I'm going to tell you the story.
Yeah, I don't care.
So it starts out basically that Val chick that was like, what's her name from Seinfeld? She's on trial for impeachment.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's on trial for being impeached because they said that she's been doing underhand things with this organization that she has. Well, I guess before that, they have Florence Pugh like going around doing cleanup work. She's part of the cleanup crew, and she's in this lab, and she has people hostage, and she's trying to destroy the evidence in the lab, but she doesn't want to blow up the lab. She doesn't have to. Then the guy that's a scientist is trying to tell her, they don't know what this is. This is dangerous. You can't mess with it. She goes, yeah, I know. And they get in a fight, and she ends up. The guy she had hostage gets shot, and then his guy gets shot, so she has to blow up the lab. So that's why in the commercial you see her walking with the guinea pig. It was a guinea pig in the lab. So she's walking out, and she's talking about how her life feels like empty, and she feels like there's something missing, and there's like a big void, and that she isn't fulfilled. And then she goes and sees Red Guardian, and she hasn't seen him in a year, and they're he's like, oh, everything's great, and he's doing a limo service and some security work. Okay. And then he's like, I want to work for her and everything else and all that. And meanwhile, Val's getting in trouble for about possibly being impeached. She's like doing a typical politician. Oh, you're not going to find anything on me. You're making stuff up. There's no evidence. Meanwhile, she's telling our people to destroy the evidence. And they're trying to wrap up this company she has, so there's no loose ends they can tie back to her, so she gets impeached. And now Bucky's a senator. Or
Okay,
something now.
I didn't watch Captain America 4, so did that happen in Captain America 4?
I don't know. I think I didn't watch Captain America 4, but I think there are definite ties back to that one. They're back to doing that thing where you need to watch the one to see the next. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Oh no.
So then she says, well, she tells, her that she goes, well, Val tells her, if you go do this one last mission, we'll let you be a public facing person. We'll wipe it clean. We'll get you back in the public facing position. You'll be more of a hero type situation, and tells her that there's somebody going to infiltrate their last base and steal information, and she needs to stop them.
So she's Waller, or is that?
Kind of. Okay. So she goes to this base, and then she sees Ghost walk into the door, and then she goes in, and she's targeting Ghost. In the meantime, she finds some papers for the Sentry project, which obviously Sentry's in this. And while she's there, then here comes what's his name? Walker. He comes in, and he's there to get her. She's there to get Ghost.
Okay, I'm already confused. You've literally just started explaining this movie 30 seconds ago. I have no idea. I'm just like, she was there, and this one character walked in.
They were all sent there. They were all sent there, told to target each other. Basically, kill yourselves off so we have no evidence. Okay, they're going to burn this building down. They want to blow up this place and destroy the last evidence that could get Val in trouble. But she basically sent Walker there to get, her, and then, Ghost was there and she was trying to get Ghost, and then Taskmaster's there and Ghost is trying to get Taskmaster, and they're all basically sent to get each other because the plan was they all take each other out. They're gonna burn down the facility, and then then all her loose ends be tied up.
Just throw a pizza party and just poison the pizza.
I don't know. Well, the end of it, they do kill Taskmaster within the first
I heard that.
They
kill
Taskmaster. That whole thing, she's done.
Okay, so that is great, and that almost feels like a wink and a nod toward the fans because they did Taskmaster dirty.
Yeah, well, that's what I think too. And they offed her within the first few minutes of the movie. And then the other three figure out that they're being used. Well, meanwhile, as this is going on, they're knocking stuff around, and this guy appears, and he's just like, "Wait, I just woke up. I don't know how I got here." He doesn't know who he is. Like, "My name is Bob." And that's obviously Sentry, and he's like, about Bob and stuff. Yep. And he doesn't honestly remember who he was. He said, they asked him questions. He's like, "I don't know how I got here either. I just woke up here. I don't know what happened. Last I knew they were doing lab tests. Now I'm in here." And so she kind of takes over the fact that she's trying to watch out for Bob because she thinks he's a civilian. So she keeps being really nice to him. It's basically how you say her name.
Yelena.
Yeah, it's the Yelena movie. I'm not gonna lie, it is the Yelena movie.
So this is like a quasi. That's what the vibe I got was this is a quasi sequel to Black Widow.
Yeah,
which was also a Yelena movie. It was supposed to be a Scarlett Johansson's movie, but it was a Yelena movie.
It's a Yelena movie. So Yelena's watching out for Bob, and then they all have to work together to get out of this room. So they work together to get out of this room, and they get out of the room. Well, meanwhile, Val's assistant sees they're working together, and she tells Val, so now they're going to send a strike team to go in and blow them up. Except they notice there's a guy in there, and they find out that there's one Sentry person they thought was dead. He's still alive because it actually took with him when everybody else died, and it didn't work for anybody else. So they're like, "Oh, we don't want to. We're going to go lethal, but now we're going to go non-lethal because we need to save this guy." So the three and Bob are working together to get out. They climb a shaft back to back. They get themselves out of there. But every time like Bob grabs someone's hand, they have flashbacks to some sad, tragic memory that they feel guilty about or whatever. So they finally get out of the building by working together, and then they have Bob in the back, and they're trying to escape, but they're being held up by the security. So he runs out of the back with a machine gun and starts shooting up in the air to get them to chase him so they can get away. And then the military all stand there and shoot him to death, or they think. So they drive off thinking Bob's dead. Then Bob gets up, of course, because Bob's Sentry and he's not dead. And then he shoots up in the sky and then falls back to Earth. And then they capture him.
And then Bob just gets up and they just shoots him in the sky.
He basically shoots up in the sky. He falls back to Earth, and then they capture him because he's unconscious again. Meanwhile, the other three get there's an aftershock, and they get in their truck knocked over, and they're trying to walk across wherever they're at to get to safety. And then here comes Red Guardian, because here he was driving the car that Val was in as a limo, and he overheard her saying about blowing up the base. So he got his limo and drove out to where they were to save them. So he's got his outfit on and everything, and he's driving out in the desert, and he gets them, and they're driving along, and they're telling the story about, this is where the Thunderbolts name comes in, how when she was a kid, she was on a baseball team, and some girl pooped in the field, and but the team's name was Thunderbolts.
Hey, I thought it was named after General Ross.
It was. They did change that. I had to explain that to Squid King about, well, that's what it was called Thunderbolts originally.
Wait. So it was supposed to be named after General Ross, who's Red Hulk. So I thought there was a thing like maybe the asterisk. I thought the asterisk was like,
no.
They explain the asterisk because I thought the asterisk.
They do explain the asterisk later at the very end.
Okay, because I thought the asterisk would be like, oh yeah, we're gonna name it after him, but since he's Red Hulk now, we're just gonna.
No, it's kind of worse.
Pending,
anyway,
we have to wait and see.
So now it's Thunderbolts named after their baseball team because they were telling the story about when she was a basebal player. So the one guy jokes about calling themselves the Thunderbolts. So that's kind of the name they end up sticking with.
Because of the shit in the field.
And Val mentioned the president, when she's being impeached, your last president turned into a red thing and destroyed the city. And they tied it back to Captain America there. So anyway, they're driving in the limo and they're trying to get away. And Val's assistant had called Bucky and told him, that she needed him to come in because she was concerned about this. Well, she didn't call him that yet. She said about he was going to go get them. She knew where they were. That happens later.
I'm really
And
confused.
I know. I try to tell it the best I can. It's very confusing. The scene from the trailer where there's guys chasing them in the tanks and the vehicles,
I
and
vaguely remember that because I watched the trailer once.
And then
like
Bucky comes behind it, and he gets them off their ass.
Behind
okay,
their ass. That's what I heard.
Tits out. He comes up behind them, and then but then he puts a bomb on their car and flips their limo, and he takes them all in because he wants to use them as witnesses to get Val impeached. Like he's working with the team to get her impeached, and these are his witnesses. So he captures them to take them in so they can testify. Well, in the meantime, Val's assistant found out about the Sentry, and Val's setting herself up as like, they got him in this room, and she's acting like she's a mom and trying to be all mom-like and acting like she's the only one that can be his friend and the only one who understands him and everything else. And because she's trying to control him.
Okay.
And he's like, all like, okay, I'll do whatever you say, basically pseudo mom. And he's actually pretty chill because he used to be on drugs and stuff. He's just a chill dude normally. But he says he has a lot of things that he's upset about that he feels like, like Yelena said, that there's like a darkness, like a void. And that comes up later, obviously.
Oh, I know what.
Where this is going.
I know where this is going. Okay.
So then her assistant calls Bucky and says, hey, it's worse than we thought. It's a Sentry project. And since it's supposed to be designing the best, human super soldier, superhero, whatever. And they said on a mentally stable person, that'd be great. But she's like, on this guy, I'm a little concerned because he was like, they were doing tests on people as human guinea pigs, but they were never meant to be the guy kind of situation. And she was worried how this guy was going to go. So
you're a leftover.
Yeah,
like
basically. It's like he's like the Danny DeVito and the twins.
You're the extra crap.
So they go to her because now Val has them set up at Watchtower because they're rebuilding it. Now the Avengers are gone. I keep pointing out the Avengers are gone, the Avengers are gone, the Avengers are gone. And they have them at the Watchtower, and they're training Sentry. So they come in, and she has Sentry, like she tells them they're all criminals and he needs to take them out, but he doesn't kill anybody. He just like beats the crap out of them. And then she's like, well, you need to kill them. And he's basically like, I'm not. He's like, why? I'm not killing them. They didn't do anything. And she's like, well, you need to basically take orders for me. And he's kind of like, why? So they had a kill switch for him. And he gets Val by the neck and he's like choking her, and then her assistant hits the kill switch, so he collapses to the ground. And that was when he was Sentry. Well, in the meantime, he turns all black and now he's Void. Okay, so now we're going to the Void and the shadows.
Okay.
So he
just the mental health part.
This is the mental health part, and even more so later. So he's Void now because now it's the darkness within him that has taken over.
The darkness within.
The funniest part of the whole movie, which isn't going to sound funny, it's going to sound terrible when I say it, but I couldn't help it. Swookie and I both burst out laughing. So he turns into, the Void thing, and he's outside and he's casting his shadow over everything. Of course, if it touches, people, they turn into basically like a soot smear. They base it on like Hiroshima, how you just, there's an imprint, like a shadow, like a soot shadow. So he's turning all these people into soot smears. Well, it's crumbling. There's a helicopter because he turned people to soot. The helicopter crashes in the building, and so everybody on the ground, all the Thunderbolts, are working together to save everyone and to try to make sure that nothing falls on them or whatever. So at one point, Red Guardian saves this little girl, and he's like, and he stands up and he's like smiling at her, like you're safe now, kind of thing. And bam, she turns into a soot smear.
Oh my God.
That's so not funny, but it was. Terrible. I love children. But just the way they did it.
Just to have her explode like that was just like
he's just like, I saved you, and then poof, she turns into a soot smear.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God, just like that. Yeah, it was funny. All these people are just turning into soot smears right and left. Well, Elena starts trying to talk to him, and she's like,
don't smear children.
She goes up to the edge of his shadow because there's this shadow spreading across New York. Everybody's turning into soot smears. And she goes up to him and she deliberately gets turned into a soot smear. but sets off her dad, of course, and all that. Because he already had a conversation with her where, I see that you're lighter now, and you're like, that maybe I was a bad dad, but I was new to this. And he's like, but you're a good person. You were always a good person. The reason you wanted to play soccer and you wanted to be goalie was because you wanted, if someone made a mistake, you wanted to help them. And he said, you were a good person, even though she keeps having flashbacks where she got her friend killed and stuff when she was little because she had to. And all this stuff. So she goes into it, and she wakes up in this this other realm. So all these people are dead. They're just put into guilt rooms, basically, where you go through rooms of your life to relive past things that you feel bad about. So
Okay.
you basically see flashbacks of her life, and then she finds him. She finds Bob, and Bob's chilling in his room by himself where it's quiet. And then she's like, we need to get out of here kind of thing. And she's like, you're not alone. I'm with you. Let's try to get out. Well, they try to get out, and then the room starts fighting back like it's possessed with a poltergeist. And there's stuff's like flying and hitting them. In the meantime, the rest of the Thunderbolts jumped into the soot too, or jumped into the shadow, and they're all soot smears now. And they're there, and they show up, and they get them out, or they get them out of the room. So they go through all these different rooms trying to escape. And they finally get to, like, here's one he was joking about being on meth, and he's in a chicken suit with a sign, and he's hitting them with the sign. And they're like, "But you're an asshole." He goes, "Well, I was on meth." What?
What?
I know it sounds crazy. I said there's no way to explain this.
I'm trying to, you know how when you describe something to someone and they have a very different picture. I keep thinking these all sound like Super Bowl commercials, like every scene you're describing.
I don't know. It kind of, each of these rooms are a different story, but they just blast through them. Like his dad was abusive, and he just punches his dad and all that stuff. They're bringing him with Bob with him, and they get to the end, and the end is the lab, and she realizes, oh, this is the lab I blew up. Anyway, the Shadow Void guy's there, and he, pushes all the other Thunderbolts into the walls and puts metal around them, so they're so they can't escape. And then he's trying to, he's beating the crap out of Bob. And she says about, you're not alone. And then he's trying to, the cords go around her neck like Superman 3, and he's trying to choke her. And then, so Bob finally takes control, and he starts beating he just jumps on top of himself, which is Void, and he starts beating the crap out of Void. But as he's beating the crap out of Void, he's turning into darkness too. So they break free. She breaks free first, and she's hugging him, and you're not alone, you're not alone. And they all break free, and they all hug him like you're not alone. It's better in the movie than it sounds. And then he wins, and then they wake up on the sidewalk in New York, and then the shadows are like dissipating and going away, and people are reappearing. And then, so like that's the mental health thing. He's literally fighting himself and his own demons. And but if that's the character and his Void and Sentry, it kind of makes sense. And then at the end, Val's there, and she tricks him into chasing her. And here she has a news crew ready. And then she announces, instead of taking credit for the fact that she caused all this, she's like, "Now I want you to meet my new project, what I've been working on, and why I shouldn't be impeached because the money's been going to this new team I've created." And she calls them the New Avengers. And so that's what it's supposed to be. Thunderbolts * the New Avengers.
Okay.
And Bob.
And Bob. What?
The New Avengers and Bob. Because right now he's stuck as Bob because he can't control his power. So he's just now Bob.
I would actually like to see a movie called The New Avengers and Bob. But,
well, that was the movie. This movie was Thunderbolts *, which meant the New Avengers and Bob. So that's what this movie was. And then you have the end credit scenes. And the first one, the end credit scene is just Red Guardian in the grocery store where they're on a Wheaties box. He's trying to like push the box on this lady because he wants her to notice that he's him. And she does it because now they're a big deal because now they're the New Avengers and the new heroes. And she just thinks he's crazy and takes the cereal, walks away and lays it down. And then, so it was kind of like just a funny whatever. And then the very, very, very final end credit scene is 14 months later. And now Captain America's assembling his new team of Avengers, and he's trademarked the name The Avengers.
Wait. Okay.
This is like, Comicsgate. They're trademarking the name.
Okay.
And so now Alexi's like, well, maybe if we put, Avengers with a Z on the end, then we could circumvent the trademark. And while they're debating about the fact that they're trying to build another team and they're no longer the Avengers because people are on board with Captain America and not Sam and not them. And then they asked Bucky if he talked to Sam. Bucky's like, it didn't go well when I talked to him last. And so that must be tying back to the movie I didn't watch because I didn't give a shit. And then they say about something coming into space interdimensionally, so you know where this is going. And they pull up an image of the ship, and it's the Fantastic Four rocket. So confirmation
in the movie.
Confirmation that they were in a different dimension, and now they're coming into the 616. So apparently they lose, obviously, and now they're going to be, which everybody suspected. Now we know. And I mean, I'm not spoiling anything because everybody's going to know it after this. It's in the end credit scene, and they just showed the Fantastic Four logo on the rocket, and then that's the end.
Oh my God, I got that reference because I saw the trailer.
Well, I leaned over before I said it's going to be Fantastic Four. And so I saw the ship silhouette. I'm like, it's a Fantastic Four. And then the thing rolled over. I'm like, yep, see, there's a Fantastic Four.
So every movie is a commercial
the
for
end.
the next
Sorry,
movie.
Yes, the end. Sorry, I'm a terrible, terrible reteller of stories.
So we have.
I'm not good at it.
No, I think you're good at it.
I'm good at making up stories. I'm not good at retelling stories.
We have Scarlet Witch. We have Vision. We have Hawkeye. Well, no, we don't have Hawkeye because he's not.
But
getting
they
paid
have,
enough.
Kate Bishop.
We have Kate Bishop, but we also have U.S. Agent. We have most of the West Coast Avengers. We could have had the West Coast Avengers.
Well, apparently he's setting up Avengers.
They cost too much.
And,
West Coast Avengers cost too much.
And the new Captain America setting up his own team of Avengers, and now the new Avengers who were the Thunderbolts are now back to probably being the Thunderbolts again, or they said they call them B-Vengers.
The B-Vengers.
So anyway, that was it. Right. And it sounds worse than it was.
I was gonna say,
it wasn't terrible. It really, really wasn't.
I'm sure there's a lot more jokiness in there. I just I don't know.
It was mostly just about working together. It was about each of them, have been villains in the past, and about working through their issues. And they each have something but they feel like because Yelena feels like she's done a lot of bad things and she doesn't want to be bad anymore. And, U.S. Agent, basically his wife and kid left because he was, shitty dad. And, they don't really go into what happened with Ghost, but, she had lived in a laboratory and had a shitty childhood. We already established that in Ant-Man. So,
Taskmaster's dead.
Yeah, Taskmaster, who cares, dead within a few minutes.
I might actually give this movie a chance whenever it hits Disney Plus just to watch him pop Taskmaster in there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. In the first 10 minutes,
it's worth
15 minutes of the movie.
For that.
But it's mostly about being there for other people, knowing that you're not alone. And it sounds lame, but it was actually good. And how you can be a team, and even people that are supposed to be bad and are supposed to be written off as bad can do good and turn good, and your own demons can make you from Sentry to Void. And
I guess it's better. I guess it's a better message than oh yeah, you're all alone, nobody's coming to save you, go kill yourself. I mean, that's a much better message.
I mean, at the end,
you can do it.
Isn't Sentry really good friends with Reed Richards and stuff?
Yeah.
So they have Sentry leading into, and Sentry still can't use his powers yet. So leading into Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. I don't know.
It sounds worse than it was.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I mean, this is what I want to talk about. The problem I'm having just in general with, I am so jaded with Marvel and Star Wars at this point that you could have the best effing thing, and I'd probably be like, I'll catch it when I catch it.
Well, that's what Squeaky and I were talking about on the way home. We're talking about the fact that people are just so over it. And we were saying about, I don't know how Fantastic Four is going to do. I don't know how stuff's going to do moving forward. But we were talking about, it's not just people they don't like it because there's a not white person in charge, or it's a woman now. And they said that might be the case for a few people. The problem is the majority aren't going. And the majority are checking out, which you can't blame all on istophobia.
No.
It's just because people are just
uninterested.
I think they're over Marvel because one, I think they're going to have agenda masquerading as entertainment because they've been doing that. I think there's just too much. I think people checked out after Endgame because it was a lot asked for 10 years. And now you want to keep it going. I think there's a lot of reasons people just don't go to Marvel movies. They went to Deadpool and Wolverine because it was just Deadpool and Wolverine and fun. But, I think Thunderbolts too, you have a barrier of entry where a lot of people feel like if I didn't watch the shows, I can't watch the movie. And honestly, you didn't really need to.
Yeah.
But you will be confused by who some of these people are.
Yeah. I mean,
So it's just
yeah. I mean, forget, like, I've watched some of these shows and I'm like, okay, I vaguely remember. Like Ghost, I'm like, which one was she? Oh, she was from the Ant-Man movie. Okay.
Mhm.
And it was like, okay, U.S. agent. Oh, that's right. He was in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Okay. Okay. I got to remember here. And then,
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It just is so convoluted, and they just keep adding more and more people. And we already know like a lot of those people are going to be in um, Doomsday and stuff. And now there's talk
yeah.
that Marvel and Co might be Captain Marvel and Co might be in Doomsday too. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Um,
So this might actually wind up going like Suicide Squad then, where it actually could be good. It could be something that people later on discover is actually good, but they don't give it a chance at the theater. And that's what happened. Like, I did not go see the Suicide Squad in the theater. I had people jump at me like, you need to go see this movie. It's like the best DC movie ever. And it's got Starro in it, man. It's got Starro. You need to go see it. I ruined it for people. And I
we
just
said
had no
spoilers earlier, so you're okay.
for this movie, not for the other one. Like, and I didn't go see it. And then even when it came out in digital, I waited like 3 months. I'm like, I guess I'll watch it. Everybody's pestering me to watch. I'll watch. I'm like, damn, that was actually pretty good, but it was a huge box office.
Well, that's like the
flop.
D&D movie. No one went to see it because
Yeah,
they were
it actually
expecting it
was
to be emasculating of men, and that was one of the things they were leading with, and it was actually a really good movie. So I think that's the problem here. I think and it's kind of like the D&D movie in the fact that you have a group of people who don't want to be a team, but are going to be a team kind of situation.
Yeah.
It's very Suicide Squad. That's what Squid King said. He watched both of them with you, and he said it reminds him of that as well.
He hasn't seen D&D yet. I told him he needs to watch the
That
D&D
was
movie.
Fat
Actually,
Dragon.
Fat Dragon is worth watching. I was disappointed. I got the Diceling, the Red Dragon, and he wasn't fat enough for me.
Maybe he was in the box too long, lost all the weight.
I don't know. I wanted a fatter dragon, damn it.
You skinny shaming the dragon?
I am. Skinny
But
bitch.
so there it is. It is what it is. Like I said, I'd probably give it an 85 or so. I'd watch it again. It's a definite B.
It's definite mediocre movie.
I mean, it's
yeah,
not, okay, I'll put it this way. Squid King has said, of all the movies since Endgame, it's his second favorite.
but
It's one of his
the
two
bar
favorites.
is on the floor.
I know that's just it too. The bar is on the floor. But it wasn't bad though. I mean,
Okay.
I thought
I'll
it was
take your word
I thought
for it.
it
I
was
don't
good.
know.
Like I think you'd like it actually.
I'm
I'm worried about Fantastic Four though now, but we'll see.
just kind of the point now where I was kind of like, okay, if they can pull off the Fantastic Four, maybe they can save Marvel. Now the more I'm hearing about it, the more I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is gonna work. I don't know if
Well,
it's gonna work.
it is confirmed that it is an alternate universe, which was the running
everybody knew
theory.
that.
It's confirmed. So that's why it's that the female Silver Surfer, and
She looks awful.
yeah.
Not
Well,
sorry. She
I think
looks
she does
terrible.
too. That's the first thing I noticed. I'm like, this is your CG for her, okay?
Yeah, if she
But,
looked
yeah,
better.
the fight scene of Sentry. I didn't talk about this with Squid King, but the fight scene with Sentry when he was fighting them, it looked very you can tell they CG a lot. It looked kind of like fakey. I'm trying to think what to look to compare it to. There's
Like the physics are wrong, the lighting is
just
wrong.
I don't know. It's just
There's like a plasticky
yeah, kind of like a
feel
plasticky
to it.
feel
Like
to
the
it. Yeah.
movements aren't right. It almost feels like, sometimes like if they get hit or something at obvious CGI, it feels like there's a rope or something on the actors. Like, I mean, they do that actually, pull actors
I
back.
don't know.
if
It
they're
just seems I
shooting them or
can't
something,
explain it. It was herky jerky for lack of a better term.
Okay.
And I like kind of like what you're describing. And there was that, and I thought that took away from it. But I mean, if you're on the fence, you can go. It depends. I guess it depends. If you're on the fence and you want to see it because you think it might be good, it's basically whether or not you want to give them money. Is I guess
Well,
the point
that's a big part of it. Like, it doesn't even matter if it's good. There's some, like I said, Picard season 3 was good, and people are like, I'm not giving Paramount any of my time or whatever because they screwed up the rest of Star Trek. So,
well, I'm saying. I mean, I think it's going to come down to people. Even if people they're hearing it's good, like you can see from these ratings that people think overall it's pretty good. It's going to come down to, or do you want to give them money or not? Because if you're on the fence and you've thought about, do I want to go or not? I mean, you'll probably have fun if you go to this movie, but is it more important to you to go to the movie and maybe like it, or to not go at all because you don't want to give them money? I mean, that's going to be a personal thing. I went because Squid King and I wanted to see it.
Well, there you go.
And also, I can do a video and make my money back, and then be like, "Ha, Disney, I'm profiting off of you."
If as many people watch this one as watch the other Thunderbolts one, you're not going to make your money back. But that's okay.
Probably not,
because that just shows how much people care. Yeah. So anyway,
it was a long video. I'm sorry, and I'm really bad at describing and explaining things, but I tried.
Are we gonna wrap it? Are we gonna wrap it up?
Yes.
Let's wrap it up, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Watch it, don't watch it. She says 85%. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's about as good as you're gonna get from this hater channel.
Well, I'll probably be in trouble either way. So
Yeah, I know, right?
all right, we'll talk to you later.
Bye.